Ladies and gentlemen, wiggle your crankshaft, lubricate your lug nuts, and pinch your preferred piston.
Because it's time to talk Tull to me.
I was trying to be the sound of an engine.
Oh, that felt very like 80s industrial grunge.
Yeah, that's what it turned into. Welcome back.
Imagine if Tull went through that phase in the 80s.
Welcome back to Talk Tull to Me. I'm Omen Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together, we are Feckless Momes.
And also together, along with you, we are here to talk Tull to me. What? This is talk
a surprisingly well-oiled engine.
Debatable.
That with tender love and care and a few replaced parts here and there will take you where you need to go. Not elegantly, not efficiently,
but practically.
But eventually.
Eventually. And quite a few replaced parts, I should say.
Yeah.
At this point.
We're basically just a service line from garage to garage.
Oh, I was referring to all of the replaced band members.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
Yeah.
From the T-150 this was, through the...
DeLorean?
Oh, yeah. When was that? Through the DeLorean of the... Oh, God. I think we're losing the stream here.
70s. You're not in my territory at all, so... And I know we're not in yours either. You chose a bad topic.
From the T-150 of This Was, through the classic...
Abandoned ship, Omen.
Through the classic Mustang that was Aqualung, through even to the Generation 1 Toyota Corolla.
Omen, I've got a horse over here. Do you want me to beat that too, or you good with this?
I'd like to ride it out of this town. So, Nick, here we are.
Omen Sade, again we meet over 2 microphones and hundreds of miles. You and
Indeed.
our heart beats as one for Jethro Tull.
Indeed it does, Nick. And what shall our hearts beat about today, my friend?
Today we have track 6 for Thick as a Brick. It is side B, track number 2, technically. It is the next 6.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it is Legends and Believe in the Day.
Lucky number 6.
Lucky number, that's a very common phrase. Lucky number 6.
Do we have any housekeeping to do before we jump in, or can we just take the plunge?
I have nothing unless you do. I recommend we plunge away.
Then off into the deep end we go. Let's have a listen.
Hold your breath.
Legends were the ancient tribal land, like cradled in the seagull's song, and all the promises they made around deep sea.
Goodness me, Nick.
Wow.
We have arrived at the dark, oblique, peyote trip like gooey caramel center.
Oh my God, it's so dark.
Thick as a brick.
Yeah,
it's very dark.
Yeah, it's you have to get through the dark chocolate only for the caramel inside to be slightly burnt, so it's a little bitter.
Yeah.
But you got through that dark chocolate anyway, so you might as well finish it.
You might as well keep going. You might as well swallow that bitter caramel.
Yeah,
as they say.
Very common phrase, yeah.
Nick.
Omen.
Truly, I feel like I feel like Dante.
In my notes, I reference Dante. But go on.
Wait, let me find. Let me quickly look up the phrase. You'll cut out this silence, no doubt. And if you don't, I shall curse.
Or I'll put in funny music.
Poop buttocks.
Oh my gosh. Oh, now our 5-year-old listeners will not stop laughing.
Doodleberry.
No! How dare you? Abandon hope, all ye who enter here?
Oh, that's a little bit later.
Oh.
All right. Midway upon the journey of our life, parentheses, through thick as a brick,
Parentheses, Doodleberry.
I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward pathway had been lost. Ah me! How hard a thing it is to say what was this savage forest, rough and stern, in which the very thought renews the fear. So bitter it is, death is little more, but of the good to treat, which there I found, speak will I of other things I saw there.
It is the... You said this is early on, right? This is very early in the Inferno?
Now, that's literally the first couple of lines.
Yeah, so it is the narrator addressing the reader.
Mm-hmm.
It is O Muse in the Aeneid, I believe that's how it starts. O Muses, something, something, something. Translated that in Latin. Yeah, it's no, in Latin class we translated that.
No, I believe you.
No, I'm not reading it right now and translating.
No,
it.
I was laughing at your ridiculous linguistic flex there.
Oh, just a little. Let me flex my lingua. Yeah, it's such an epic sound, both musically and content wise. I have it has this old English feel to it, and it should be a one of the passus from Piers Plowman or a canto from Dante's Inferno. It really is. It's got such a story behind it.
It feels, what's the word? It feels purgative.
So Purgatorio, not Inferno.
In a way, but it also feels like the dark point of a cycle. Like, it reminds me of, if there were seasons to this album, I feel like this would be the depths of winter.
Yeah.
You know, coming up to the winter solstice.
Right, the darkest night, part of the night before dawn.
The night is always darkest before the dawn.
Yep.
Batman Begins.
That's it.
So, as is our wont, before we completely derail ourselves, shall we chat a little bit about the music? Now, Nick, we don't have to follow this format every time.
You're right. But I don't mind it. But let's do it anyway. Yeah, I mean, I feel like because it is always inevitably shorter, we should probably just do the music first.
Yes.
Yes, do the music first. This is another one of my this is like my second favorite sound from this album, is this dark, long, hymn-like, mournful. First it starts out in really nice acoustic, but then it gets kind of bright and flashy with the really kind of piercing guitar in there.
Yeah. To me, it kind of switches back and forth stylistically between a dirge and a march.
Yes, it's very trudging.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's still even when it hits those kind of brighter sounds in the "Do You Believe in the Day" chorus, quote unquote chorus, they're still underlying. It's still so heavy, and I just picture peasants trudging along a muddy road in the 1500s.
In New Jersey.
In
New
Jersey.
In the 1500s.
Yeah. No, the regular Jersey, the original Jersey.
Oh, yes. The thing that I really admire about this part of the album is the bass line, which is being played not by the bass, but actually by Ian's acoustic guitar. It's just so cool. Let's listen to it.
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
yes, indeed. It's unique. You know, again, I mean, this is why we like Jethro Tull, isn't it, Nick? Because every single song, there's something where you're like, wow, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
How extraordinary. And the other thing that makes this section stand out for me is a sound which I am not actually certain where it's coming from. My two guesses are either it's Ian, like, really, really flutter-tonguing, using his lingua franca, or
Lingua
it's
scotcha.
Lingua escocha.
Yeah.
Escocha linga.
It's my favorite soup.
Italian tongue wedding soup.
Yep.
Okay. Or it's John Evan on the Hammond organ with some sort of effect. But you know the sound that I'm talking about. It's this one right here.
You got to actually tell me what it is, though.
Oh.
Because
the one where it's like,
if you want me to find it, I need to know what it is.
it's the one that's like, oh, I'll do my best to replicate it.
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes it goes.
I was going to very confidently say that it's the organ, and then I heard like 2 more seconds of it, and I was like, maybe that's the flute. Yeah.
It's really hard to tell. And you know, it could be that sometimes it's the organ and sometimes it's the flute.
I mean, it's possible. I suppose that they could very well could alternate.
It could be. But isn't it lovely?
It's more of that like kind of high pitch, can't quite put your finger on it, so it kind of makes you uncomfortable to hear.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's very disquieting, especially with the super minor
Oh my gosh.
bass line that's going on. And I realize now that we're speaking that the bass line that I was attributing to the acoustic guitar is later picked up by Jeffrey
Yeah,
Hammond on the
that's
actual
not
bass.
that's not unheard
On
of.
the bass.
Particularly in this album is someone introducing
Oh, certainly, yeah.
a theme, even on a minor scale, and then someone picking it up later on as an echo or just really light in the background, just to subconsciously keep your head going. Like, this is all one piece. This is all happening in a vacuum.
But I totally agree. It really this is the most uncomfortable section so
yeah.
far that we've listened to for me, and I do think it is born of that contrast in sounds, and then so after that first verse, the kind of tremolo of unknown instruments starts us off on this bizarre inward dirge,
Yeah.
a dirge to the center of the earth, and then it switches to the march,
Yep.
and then we go back to the contemplative dirge. And then we end with the march
Yeah.
again.
The last little bit is just instrumentation. But yeah, it swaps back and forth, but they're not separate pieces. They're two patches of the same quilt for sure, or two sides of the same coin is actually the more common phrase, but you know, the quilt thing, you know.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That regardless of the march or not, or the dirge, like there's still that underlying feeling of both epicness,
Yes.
but also that unsettling, and the lyrics alone don't necessarily make you think this is something negative or dark or wrong, but in this backdrop of this almost wall of noise, it's very foreboding.
It feels to me very reminiscent of journeys to the underworld. You know, this could be the underscoring of Orpheus going down to rescue Eurydice, or of Odysseus going down to get info after he got the golden branch. Maybe that's in the Aeneid.
Even Lot going down to get his wife.
A lot
of wife. And
so worth her weight in salt.
it's apocalyptic almost. It's very cataclysmic feeling to me. When I put the lyrics into it as well.
Yes, indeed. And what a wonderful transition, Nick, to the lyrics themselves. I think we can't avoid talking about them any
Convenient
longer.
transition.
I think that this is a really quite baffling section for me.
It's interesting, yeah.
But there were a couple of themes that I felt able to pull out of it.
Okay.
So here's a question for you, Nick. Do you believe in the day?
Do I?
Do you? Do you?
Believe in the day.
Believe in the day. So this is the theme. This is like, it's funny, there's not so much repetition in Jethro Tull usually as there is in the music of, or in the lyrics of other bands. And this is a lot of repetition of that phrase, do you believe in the day? And then there's the reference, there are multiple references to the sun, the poets and the wise men signaling the rise of the sun. And then a little mention of Venus, the planet attributed to the goddess of love. And so there's for me, it's this very dark sort of foreboding kind of dying feeling, but there's also implicit in it that sense of a cyclical rebirth. It reminds me of a lot of those myths of the dying god. There's one from Polynesia that I particularly like about there's an island that has a beautiful woman living on it, and one day a beautiful young man shows up and they fall in love, and then he's like, oh, by the way, you have to cut my head off and bury it in the
Well, that took a
sand.
turn.
And she's like, but I don't want to do that because I love you. And he's like, no, it's cool. You have to. And so, she does. And from the site where she buried his head, the first coconut tree grows. And that's the origin of the coconut tree, which in the culture where the story originated is, one of the fundamental things that support life.
It's corn to us.
Sure, exactly, or wheat.
Or wheat, yeah.
But definitely no any of that stuff, and that's a repeated myth throughout all cultures.
So Maui was lying, is what you're saying?
I still haven't seen Moana, so I'm not sure. I know.
Omen.
Listen.
You are affianced to a Disney zealot. You have no excuse not to see. The Rock is in it.
I know. Listen,
His
I want
song
to
is
watch
amazing. Jermaine Clement is in it, and he's in just a little bit, but his song is amazing.
Listen, stop drilling. You've hit oil. I want to watch it.
Clearly I haven't, Omen, if this well is so dry that we're having this conversation.
But it does feel to me like that. It feels like the moment of fear and death and destruction, like you were talking about, but with the implication of hope for the resurgence of life. Do you believe
death
in
is
the
not
day?
death is not the end. Death doesn't have to be the end. And this, I think this harkens back to the Lord of the Hills.
Oh.
That we heard in the last stanza of last episode.
Yes, indeed.
In the clear white circles of morning wonder, I take my place with the Lord of the Hills.
In the clear white circles of morning wonder, I take my place with the Lord of the Hills.
Right, and in this one we have the dawn creation of the kings has begun.
Yeah.
The dawn creation of the King.
The legends worded in the ancient tribal hymn. This is the legend to me. This is that ancient tribal hymn.
Right, and it's so connected with the earth that the very cries of the seagulls tell of it.
Yeah, it is baked into nature.
And yet, all the promises they made are ground beneath the sadist's fall. I mean, to me, again, we have this sort of resurgence of the constant theme, which we're gonna get into a bunch later with Heavy Horses, of the war that Anderson describes between nature and industry, or nature and capitalism.
Yeah, and eventually the overpowering, the way that we man industry, whatever, just steamrolls over nature.
And yet there is the constant resurgence of nature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's almost like a whirligig of
You really hit that H there.
it's like a whirligig now.
Oh, whirligig.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. The poet and the wise man stand behind the gun.
The poet and the wise man stand behind the gun. Behind the gun.
Yeah.
Is the I'm seeing the wise man as our narrator, or the poet is our narrator and the wise man is the Lord of the Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's all nature, they're standing behind the gun, which is a man-made killing machine.
Well, and there's also the reference to the crack of dawn, which is the traditional time at which people are executed.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So is this the sacrifice of the fading hero who has to return to the night?
I like that a lot.
Is this the sacrifice, Nick? Is this the...
And they're the ones pulling the trigger, literally pulling the trigger to kill this hero.
They are the beautiful island maiden who is cutting off the head of her lover.
Yeah.
To make a coconut.
To make a coconut, or for the dawn creations of the kings to begin.
Right, exactly. Hoo-wee.
Yeah, this is...
Yeah.
Oh, man, I would love
This is...
to ask Ian about this. Just sit down and say, tell me. Tell me, Ian.
You know what, though? I suspect that his answer might be unsatisfactory.
Probably. I have a feeling that at least 95% of the time we read too much into the lyrics.
I'm sure that we'd be like, Ian, please tell us about the Lord of the Hills and the hero who must return to the night. And he's like, well, I was at a hotel in Cleveland and I saw a dog out the window fighting a beggar. And you're like, and he's like, well, that's it.
And the dog won.
And then my shower stopped working.
I mean, what it ultimately boils down to is this album in its entirety was created to quote be the mother of all concept albums.
Yeah, well,
and because because we have to keep that in mind, anything that seems really highbrow and up there and oh man, we have to decipher it. Maybe there's not going to be much beyond that. As deep and multi-layered as this stuff seems, maybe it's all just surface.
Right. I mean, maybe it was even an attempt to slag off and imitate other kind of pseudo-spiritual songwriting that was at the time.
Sure.
Hold on 1 second. Butt knuckles. Donkey wang.
You're getting,
wait a minute. What's
getting dangerously close.
What am I thinking of, Nick?
Led Zeppelin?
What's the song that you're forbidden to play in guitar shops?
Oh, Stairway to Heaven.
Yes.
Thank you, Wayne's World 1. No stairway denied. Fun fact about Stairway to Heaven and in Wayne's World. Are you familiar with Wayne's World?
Only in so much as I was born in the 80s.
Oh, it's so good. Those movies stand up for me. I know they're not great, but I love them so much. But in the theatrical cut, when Wayne comes into a bunch of money, he goes to a guitar store and picks up the guitar that he's been wanting to buy for a long time, and he plays the first like 3 notes of Stairway. And the clerk stops him and points to a sign that says no stairway. And Wayne says, no stairway denied. But in the video release cut, they couldn't get the rights to Stairway. So the 3 or 4 notes that are played in that scene are just completely have nothing to do with Stairway. They're like bang, bang, bang. Yeah, it's bizarre.
Right.
No stairway. Denied. Hey. No stairway. Denied.
So, another fun fact, Nick.
Yes.
Stairway to Heaven was recorded in 1971. And for me, like...
Perfect.
That album is really the ultimate, like, I'm going to sit in my dark room in college and get stoned and, like, think about, deep stuff, man.
And read Tolkien, yeah.
Yeah, basically. Or, pick up Tolkien with the intention of reading it and then realize you're too stoned. But I feel like this whole section of Thick as a Brick could be slagging off that kind of thing.
Sure. Or just slagging off seems really malicious to me. I think it's just taking the piss.
I will take 1 piss, please.
I'll have 1 piss. And do you have a to-go cup for one for later?
That's how you order a Bud Light in New Orleans.
Oh God, I've never drunk Bud Light, and I'm proud to say that.
So this really could be.
Oh, Omen, you did not say that you have never drunk.
I have drunk gallons of Bud Light.
Oh
Nick.
My gosh, Omen!
Gallons and gallons, yeah.
And
you know what? I don't hate it.
Oh,
I know that hurts you, but it's the truth. I'm coming out today, Nick, as someone who doesn't not enjoy Bud Light sometimes. It's not my preference, but if you want basically a glass of water that is also beer, it's not a bad way to go.
Join us next week on Bitch Beer to Me. And So Stairway.
Where were we, Nick?
Stairway.
Yes. Right. So it does seem like this section and this whole album really, this is the sort of beautiful conundrum of it. Is it just a delightful romp of poking fun at everything in the world around? Or is it deadly serious? Or is it both? Can it hold, like Walt Whitman, 2 contradictions?
Yeah, ultimately, does it matter? I think we addressed this probably in the first episode. Is they claimed it was all just a big kind of ruse, and everybody else, critics and fans alike, said this is one of the best concept albums of all time. So then the rock reporters would be like, well, you ultimately failed because you did it so well, and you didn't actually spoof it. You just created something.
Right.
And Ian's response is, so what? People liked it.
Not to get conspiracy on you, but like,
oh, please.
What if that was the goal all along? What if they were like, wow, we want to record this cool thing. No one will take it seriously if we tell them that it's super serious. So we'll tell them it's a big joke.
Oh, sure.
Because if they had come out with this album and been like, this is the key to the mythic proportions of modern life, people would be like, yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, get out of here.
What,
Yeah.
are you playing a flute?
Yeah.
Take your cod piece and be gone.
I think it's certainly possible, and the thought did cross my head. They were just hedging their bets. They were playing it safe.
They were hedgehogging their bets.
Hedgehogging their bets. Omen.
Yes.
Do you have any facts about hedgehogs?
Well, it's funny you should ask. I was doing some research recently, and, I was not aware that hedgehogs are to be found in Europe, Asia, and Africa.
Yeah, not in the States. They are not native to the States.
No, only as pets.
Yeah.
Well, we have porcupines here, so, it's sort of like Sorry, job's already been taken.
Rodent with spikes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just he just came in here.
They roam in people's gardens in the UK. Like they're like bunnies here.
Spiky bunnies.
Spiky bunnies. I would love
Yeah.
hedgehogs just floating around out there. That'd
They
be
don't.
great.
They don't float, Nick.
you
They are not lighter than air.
I thought they were filled.
Only when they're babies. That's when the way that they reproduce is the reason they have spikes actually is that when the mother becomes ready to give birth, she just shoots out all the spikes in every direction, and that's how she fertilizes the countryside around with baby hedgehogs. The spikes hit the ground and they germinate.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that. Didn't I?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the babies are lighter than air, so when they're born, she pokes them into the ground so they don't float away.
Tune in next week for our other podcast, Harangue Hedgehogs to Me, where we discuss more nonsense. Nick, anything else to say about this section of Thick as a Brick?
I don't think so, because it's also, I don't want to say nonsensical, but it's also unclear. This passage is so unclear. It's really hard to really substantially speculate on what's being said.
Yeah. Well then, what do we have to look forward to next week, Nick?
Next week we are now officially halfway through side B.
Okay.
So this is going to be side B, track 3, the next 5.5 minutes, Tales of Your Life. The
Ooh.
second to last track in Thick as a Brick.
Until then, you don't have to wonder whether or not the day exists, because you can believe your way to giving us a 5-star review.
It doesn't matter whether I believe in the day or not. I believe in you. I believe that you will give us a 5-star rating and a wonderful review on iTunes.
The legends worded in the ancient 5-star rating lie cradled in the seagull's lovely review on iTunes.
Ooh, I hope someone creates an iTunes profile named the Seagull just to give us a review.
I think that they will, Nick. I think that they will.
I have faith in humanity.
I believe in the day. And until that new day dawns, Nick, here on the Talk Tull to Me podcast, I am Omen Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
We are Feckless Momes.
And this is Talk Tull to Me. Boy, come to the top of this hill.
Oh,
Join me.
oh yes.
Look out
Oh, I can see forever out here.
over these verdant hills.
Oh, the sun setting on the distant pines makes me feel the ever-present crush of mortality.
Boy,
Yes,
do you believe in the day?
I do. I do believe in the day. I do.
Boy,
Yes,
do you believe in the day?
I do believe in the day. And to prove it, I'll drink this draught which you do hand me with your druid's hands.
Boy,
Yes,
do you believe in Talk Tull to Me?
I do believe in Tuchtel to me.
Do you
And I believe Speak, wise one!
Do you believe that Talk Tull to me is a part of the Feckless Momes audio network?
I believe. Oh!
Margaret, get the mop.